Hey, it's me again. Hey, I was just thinking about something. I remember back in the 80s, USA Network. I don't know if anybody remembers when that was, a really good channel to watch back in the 80s. You had really good stuff on back then. I mean, you had USA's Kung Fu Theater. I remember watching that. And of course, wrestling. Like would they show Monday? Would they call it Monday Night Main Event or something like that? Primetime Wrestling, I think. Yeah, Primetime Wrestling. That's what it was called. And then they had TNT. I think it was another wrestling show. That's what it was called, TNT. It was on USA Network. I remember that. And it was like hosted by Lord Alfred Hayes. And I remember Saturday Nightmares. Yeah, I used to always watch that. I used to tune in for that. Saturday Nightmares and Saturday Cartoon Network. Or not Saturday. I mean USA Cartoon Network. I used to watch them too. They had like a lot of good older cartoons. And but yeah, the Saturday Nightmares was really good. And they used to have Alfred Hitchcock Presents and would they have also Agatha Christie mysteries and Raymond Bradbury science fiction. I don't know if you remember that show. The beginning of it would have him. Would it have him in the beginning? He was like walking around or biking around or something. He had those nerdy glasses. And I remember Night Flight. They would always show these like really old movies or these like indie type films. I remember they actually had this movie one night. It was about like breakdancing and stuff back in the really early 80s when it was just starting to kind of get known to the public, even though it was around in the like early 70s breakdancing. Because I used to read up on all that stuff too. I remember back in the 80s. I was very intrigued. But yeah, USA Network, and they used to have Tuesday Night Fights. I used to tune in for that all the time. that was really great. And like I was saying, Kung Fu Theater, that was really cool. Going back to going back to what now? Going back to, what I was starting to talk about in this video. Like when I would, watch Kung Fu and stuff, and then I would go outside and try to practice, what I seen on TV back then. I was in my early teens, and I guess my body just wasn't coordinated enough for it. Yeah, I just couldn't really pull off most of what I would try to, replay, from what I was viewing. I just couldn't quite get it. I just found myself too uncoordinated. But then as the years went by, zoom ahead to 1987, I became friends with this dude that had been on my baseball team in 87. I was a relief pitcher and he was an outfielder, and we became pretty good friends. And like we both had Commodore 64s, and we both had tons of games for the C64. It was that, and Nintendo. Regular Nintendo was really popular back then, and we liked the Commodore better than Nintendo because the music was so much better in the games. It just kind of, it's more enchanting to play the games on that system, I thought, than just regular Nintendo. And just get a drink of water. Yeah, so like, yeah, he was into martial arts, and he got me into it, and I was just watching the way he did the moves, and I guess it was a combination of I felt I guess I knew I was more coordinated, now that I was 17, as opposed to in my earlier teens. I had this feeling that I could actually get good at it now if I really applied myself. So that's what happened. I was practicing with him regularly. He had like this dojo barn thing, and we'd go up there and practice, and we'd watch these movies. We'd practice and for a while, and then we'd watch a cool movie, like an action movie with martial arts in it. And then we'd go out there again and practice some more. And, and I would, we'd get inspired by the movie and get like hyped up and really go at it, practicing. He had a nice big heavy bag, and he had pads, and he had all these cool like ninja weapons too, we used to doodle around with, like nunchucks and those tonfa clubs. You spin around and stuff, and bow staffs, swords, yeah, had some pretty cool stuff, we used to play around with, but we were pretty responsible though, we weren't stupid about it, I remember we were pretty instinctive about it, and I found myself just catching on so fast. I got really good really quick, and then I was very enlightened. It gave me a lot of confidence, quite rapidly. It was a lot like those movies that those like hardcore kung fu movies where they show the character development. They'll show the guy, he kind of sucks at first, but then he keeps practicing with like the master and stuff, and then he gets really like totally altogether different kung fu fighter. He just gets awesome, and that when I look back, it was kind of like that, basically, because I remember in VOTEC class, which I was in, I went there half a day in high school, went there first half of the day. And, I had there were some shady characters in my class, there was this one kid, he was really obnoxious, and he liked to bully smaller kids around, like myself, because he was like considerably bigger than me, and he liked to wrestle around and show off his wrestling abilities. And I had this one day he did wrestle me down, I remember, but that was before I really got a lot better at the martial arts. And then one day he was trying to grab me one day, I remember, when I was starting to get good, but I wasn't ready to do my kicks at him yet. I was just sort of doing these like judo like moves to keep him from grabbing me. He kept trying to grab me to wrestle me down, and I kept squirming away and pushing him away. It's like this sort of judo type of stuff I was using, But then zoom ahead maybe a month or two past that, and like I was this time really ready for him. Like he went to grab me, and then I started just flinging out these kicks, really quick, It's like all of a sudden he had these kicks winging right at him, just missing him by a hair, And he's seen that, I wasn't somebody to play around with anymore. So he backed off, He was like, oh man, what'd you become, You were, I liked you before. You were nice and easy to push around. Now you're crazy now, So yeah, he stopped messing with me then, So, my self-esteem went up a lot, but I didn't get cocky at all, I wasn't unrealistic about it just because I threw nice kicks and stuff, But anyway, I'm going to have to cut it.